Okay, everybody, are you ready for some football? I know we are. It's time for the 8th annual 3-Point Podcast Prep Pigskin Preview presented by the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. More info available at Wellness Center's Facebook page and online at memorialhealthcare.org. You know, we got to send some sponsor love out, guys. This is basically our Super Bowl podcast here, right? I mean, this is the one that we really look forward every year to putting together. And, you know, we really appreciate our partners. I've got a little special partner billboard to get us rolling. For people that don't understand, with our advertisers, they get their name mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, at the end, and they also get full ads. So if you're interested, by the way, in hopping on board at any time, we'll always have room to fit you in, right? Little blatant sales pitch there.
What were you telling us before? ABC?
ABC, always be closing, baby. Well, I do want to tell you, we do have the best partner posse in the area. You can improve your quality of life by getting a membership at Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. You can find your dream house with Kori and Associates Real Estate Services. Finance that new purchase with Jim Woodworth at Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. Freshen up the interior with Nichols Painting. That's a name, first time out there tonight. A little bit more about that. Insure your abode with the great people at Jacobs Insurance Agency. You guys see where I'm going with this? It just just flows. You're going to need a break. So stop into Rivals Taphouse and Grille to recharge your batteries. If you need a place to store your boat or other equipment or are looking for a fun event to attend at the fairgrounds, contact Dawn at the Shiawassee County Fair office. If you're looking to have a business startup or looking for some cool school gear, check out the folks at AZee Branding Solutions in downtown Owasso. And looking ahead, save your family some big future stress by pre-planning your final wishes with the good folks at Nelson House Funeral Home, serving you with dignity and grace since 1880. And, you know, help us stamp out a hellish disease. Consider a donation to the ALS of Michigan. That kind of sets the stage a little bit, but I got to send a special shout out to Nichols Painting. Guy came into our house. You know, my sister had used him, Josh Nichols. My parents had used him, and I've been a painter all my life. But, you know, at this stage, my wife was getting on me to paint some rooms, and I just wasn't feeling it. You know, you got to motivate yourself for that. Mm-hmm. So I gave Josh a call, set it all up, and fantastic job. 3 days from start to finish, 3 full bedrooms, ceilings in the whole house. Very professionally done. Couldn't be happier. And as he was walking out the door, I said, hey, do you ever consider advertising? We had a little conversation, added our 10th sponsor here to the 3-Point Podcast. That's how it went.
Pretty amazing. I'm jealous of you walking through. I mean, there's nothing better than the serenity of a freshly painted room. And the fact you get 3 of them done in 3 days, like a snap of a finger like that by Nichols Painting. I mean, impressive. I'm jealous of you right now.
Yeah. And that's a job that you can really, like you said, you painted your whole life. I grew up painting. The house that I grew up in wasn't like the vinyl siding or whatever. We had to paint the outside of the house. It seemed like every summer we had to do that. We had to paint inside. So I grew up painting also. I think all of us at some point in our lives had to paint something. And that's just one of those, like you said, one, you're retired and you're doing all your travels and you're visiting your kids and your grandkids and all that kind of stuff. So it's trying to find the time to do it. But then it's staring at the room and just thinking like, I got to move all the stuff. I got to cut in all the trim and I got to do all this. And then you want it done correctly too. You want it done well. So you don't have to do it again for 10 years or hopefully never again. So no, that's awesome.
Well, and Nichols, to be honest with you, it's not only the motivation factor. You know, I'm going to keep you guys updated on what you got to look forward to. I'm not sure that's really the way we should put it, but age has something to do with it too. You know, right. I mean, it's not as easy crawling down on the floor, painting floor trim, you know, and then painting ceilings, looking up. I mean, it's a little taxing.
But you know what doesn't change with your old age? How about this for a segue? Take it out of your book. I mean, your love for high school football hasn't ended, though, has it?
No, not at all. And, you know, that's what we're really here for, is to talk high school football. I mean, we're, like I said last week, we're the OG of podcast prep pigskin preview shows. I mean, we kind of started it all, and we're going to be getting a lot of good input from 10 experts from throughout the state, from, you know, the Upper Peninsula. We got reporters from Marquette to Grand Rapids to Port Huron to Detroit. I mean, we got the whole state blanketed, and you're right, Jerod, and both you and Matt, we have just a true love for high school football. I mean, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, it's something, again, we've said it multiple times on the podcast. Jerod, you've said it a bunch of times, and I know for sure that I would have loved this when I was playing in the early 2000s. If there was some kind of one-stop shop type of preview, the whole state, you know, hopefully if you give it a listen, you hear your school or your team or
Right.
your name shouted out by one of the experts or something like that. But no, it's just cool to hear, some schools that you've maybe played, that maybe one of us we played in the past, maybe they're coming up, or a team that was at Ford Field last year, maybe they got a chance to make a run back. Our experts expecting that. We're going to be joined by Jason Beldyga, also Corunna's new head coach, which will be cool, obviously, to hear what he has to say about the Cavs. So no, it's just a really cool show because it always sneaks up on us. We're sitting here end of August, Labor Day weekend is coming up, and here we go. High school week 0 for college football was just a couple days ago, so college football's underway. High school football's right there too. So no, it's a really cool. We appreciate the experts all taking a few minutes, taking some time to, give us their little previews of their area. So no, it's a very, very cool thing because, hey, we've said it before. People love high school football in Michigan.
Well, I want to second that too. The time and effort that our experts put into it. Yeah, it might be a 5 or 6 minute, portion. But they gotta think about what they're gonna say. They got to put it together and do the recording. And kudos to them. I mean, they do a fantastic job to just give us that time, to put it on our podcast. So we want to really thank them.
Yeah, they're all awesome. They're all the man, as I would say. This week is the best week of the year, in my opinion. You still have a little bit of summer left. You still and you have a little bit of summer left, and then football is just right around the corner. The 0-0 next to each team, just the hope of what this season could bring. It's just a magical time. I heard a great interview actually with Greg Olson on Bustin' with the Boys, where he talks about how all three of these guys who have played at all levels, high school, college, NFL, what they spent an hour talking about is their high school playing days and how magical it was. The cleats clicking on the pavement. That is the pinnacle of football. And I'm just jealous of all these kids and all these coaches who are, diving into week 1 this week and getting ready to roll starting tomorrow on Monday. So I'm just jealous of those guys. I'm glad that we have this small little part where we can still, hold on to the glory days a little bit longer and talk about all these great kids and all these great teams and players and coaches and all that stuff. So I'm excited to hear what everybody has to say.
For sure. No, I think that's a really fair point because I feel like we've probably talked about that before, but we've heard, and you guys, I'm sure you have too, so many former, whether current pro players or, former pro players after their career is done, talk about that. Yeah, of course, playing in the NFL is peak if you're going to be a football player, but most of them always go back to playing their high school days with, the kids that they grew up with. And I remember we talked to, Coach Noel Dean, Chelsea's head coach, Noel Dean, a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things we talked about was, things have changed a little bit with school of choice and, maybe, kids maybe not changing schools, in their sophomore, junior year of high school. So some of that has changed a little bit. But I think one of the coolest things that we've talked about with high school football, and I think the three of us agree, at least with our memories and our experience, was playing with, for the most part, guys that we knew since kindergarten, since first grade,
Right.
And, one thing I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. I was back home for a funeral with a family, and we were at a little picnic thing, and my nephew, we've talked about on the podcast a number of times. I have some nephews at Perry, playing sports over at Perry. One of them graduated. One of them is now a junior at Perry, and he's excited to play for the Ramblers over there. And when we were sitting there at the little picnic thing, the two brothers, I just kind of caught them talking, kind of eavesdropping, and they were kind of talking about the season, and they were saying, like, so what do you guys think, or what do you think your minimum wins? What's your maximum wins? Who do you think you can beat? They were kind of breaking down the schedule a little bit, doing like an over under on their win expectation or whatever. And it really did. It almost gave me a little bit of goosebumps because, now I'm 20 plus years removed from playing, but to think of like, kind of like what you said, Jerod, to think about where they're at right now, the one nephew just graduated and the one is hitting his junior year. He's got 2 years of varsity football, Eli at Perry. So, those memories are something that I don't think ever leave you.
When you're back with your friends, that's what you talk about. I mean, it kind of sounds lame to say that, but it comes up every time, So it's just the best time of year, and I mean, just an all-time great show. Like you said, I wish it was around when I was a player, so I could hear about the players in the UP that are making plays and the players in Michigan. We hear about all the big-time college recruits. And I actually previewed the Detroit area for us, and that's what you hear about a lot from Detroit, are those Division I guys who are going on to play on Saturdays. But what I appreciate about this show is also hearing about those other kids who are, high school heroes, for lack of a better term, but still pretty damn good players, and I'm excited to hear all their stories as well.
Perfect way of putting it. And it's kind of neat, I think, as well. The three of us, we played high school football and loved it and have all those glory days memories, but we've been able to segue that into now cover high school football.
Yeah.
So it's very cool to put this together. It's fun to listen to every year.
So real quick before I know we're about to move on, so we can actually get to all these experts. We could ramble about this forever. But Ted, every fall, you're semi-retired. Casey and Casey's knocking it out. He's crushing it with the castle. Taking over for you. You ever get that little rumble in the belly? Like, man, I should get back out there behind the mic and do some more play-by-play.
No, I do and I don't. I get just enough of it. I don't mind being the third mic, and this is no offense to any of the area schools other than Corunna, but I'm a Corunna Cavalier, so I've kind of settled into the 3 Corunna football games that we do every year. I'm going to sit in as a third mic. That kind of keeps me active, and I got to keep my streak alive for doing all the Corunna and Owasso football games, which should be a heck of a battle this year. But I miss it a little bit. But then again, you get to a certain age, you got to retire. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's take another short break here and jump right into the program. It's the 3 Point Podcast Prep Preview, our 8th annual, coming right down the pike.
The Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center is a fantastic addition to the area. Start your wellness journey today by signing up for a membership. Get new member discounts off a yearly membership and your enrollment fee. Membership gets you full use of the workout equipment, fitness classes like Pilates, yoga, spin, and many others. Run, jog, or walk around the 3rd floor SkyTrack, and after your workout, relax in the steam room or sauna. Enjoy the spa-like locker rooms with sparkling clean private showers and other amenities. For more details, go online at memorialhealthcare.org or on Facebook at Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center.
This is Jim Woodworth, proud Corunna Cavalier and owner of Success Group Mortgage. We have invested a significant amount of time and money into our Corunna community. So I'm here to ask you a favor. If you're in the market to purchase or refinance your home, call Success Group Mortgage. It allows us to continue our mission to support the students of Corunna Public Schools. Call Success Group Mortgage today, 989-720-4380.
Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services is the official and exclusive realtor and broker for 3 Point Podcast. Kori and her team have been providing personal, exemplary service in real estate sales since 2004. Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services are total professionals helping you sell your current house or buying your dream home. Stop in at 216 West Exchange Street in Owasso. Get info online at korishook.com and follow on Facebook at Kori Shook Realtor for more details. If you are looking for honesty, ambition, and expertise, you're looking for Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services.
I'm Jason Hutton, always pleased to be part of the 3 Point Podcast and the high school football preview. I formerly worked at Fox 17 and recently started up a new podcast on high school football, really covering the state of Michigan, a little bit of focus on West Michigan with myself, Northview head football coach Ryan Oshnock, and Brett Bakita. I'm here to talk West Michigan football, starting with 3 teams. Hudsonville is number 1. The Eagles last year go to the Division I state championship game. Their first trip to Ford Field since 2005. They come up short, lost to Cass Tech in the finals, and the Eagles graduated a bunch of guys. In fact, they only returned 6 starters, but this to me is still the best team on our side of the state. Their 2 classes are really, really good. Both of them went undefeated at the JV level. The class of 2026 2 years ago, the class of 2027 last year. Brady Van Lake started at wide receiver for Hudsonville last year. He makes the move to wide receiver. He's an elusive dual threat kind of guy. We saw him in the state championship game take some snaps at center. Hudsonville's offense seemed a little more dynamic with him at quarterback. We expect to see him there all year. Look out for Owen Harzma. Kind of split duty at running back, almost a backup last year, but boy, this guy's explosive. Giving him the ball as many as 20 times a game, Hudsonville will be tough to stop. Another team that went to Ford Field last year that's in our 3 teams to watch as we start 2025, Byron Center. The Bulldogs, D2 runner-up, falling to Orchard Lake St. Mary last year. First trip ever to the state finals in football for the Bulldogs, and they graduated a bunch too. In fact, only 7 starters returning from that great team a year ago, but I'll tell you what, one of them's campaign, and boy, is he good. He was a sophomore last year, outstanding for Byron Center. Now he's a junior. He's bigger, stronger, even faster. Play running back, play linebacker. He's a load. You know, they lose a great quarterback in Landon Tungay, but I'll tell you what, they got a really good one in Easton Weichers. In fact, they've got some options at quarterback, but we expect the senior Weichers to get a lot of the reps there at quarterback, and he's a talented one. But really what jumps out to you about Byron Center is the schedule. Boy, is it tough. They open at Hudsonville in a marquee game on this side of the state with 2 teams that played at Ford Field last year. Then they go to East Kentwood, another OK Red school, another school a lot of people are talking about in D1. They finally come home to play Morton out of Hammond, Indiana, and that's a program that has very, very talented players. Then they open OK Green play at Muskegon before coming home to Mona Shore. So even a really good team could go 1-4 against that schedule. Byron Center should be really good again, and that's a gauntlet to kick off the season. Third team to look at, Northview. First perfect regular season since 1970 last year. The Wildcats went 9-0. Did not get a home playoff game even after winning the OK Black Conference. In fact, they went to Byron Center for that playoff opener and fell to finish 9-1. They had 12 starters back on offense. Then you throw in the fact that they got Braylon Jefferson at quarterback, who transferred in. He was Hudsonville's junior varsity quarterback last year. A very good JV team that went 9-0 and won big in many of their games. Jefferson's a really good 2027 quarterback, dual threat guy. We expect he's going to be good for Northview. They also got Bo Peterson, a kid who was on varsity as a freshman at Sparta. Last year was injured. He transfers to Northview. They return guys like Jalen Gant, outstanding running back, really good baseball player too. Jack Van Perrin getting D1 attention at tight end. They have 3 offensive linemen back. This is a really good football team, just like it was last year. And how about the schedule? They open at West Catholic on Friday night. Talk about a marquee opener. Now, most of the games are on Thursday. I would expect a huge crowd out at Falcon Stadium between 2 really good teams on Friday. All right, 3 players to watch on West Michigan in 2025. We start with Cade Kaufman, the quarterback at East Kentwood. He is a 3-star quarterback. He is committed to Michigan State. He also has lots of other offers, including Ole Miss, Colorado. So this guy is heavily sought after. It's only his 2nd year starting. If we remember, 2 years ago, he was a sophomore at South Christian, and he was behind Carson Viss. Last year, he transfers to East Kentwood. Ty Spencer comes in from Detroit Martin Luther King and is the head coach of East Kentwood. So a lot of new for EK last year. They went to the playoffs. They went 5-5. Kaufman had a solid season. Now we go into year 2 of Ty Spencer, year 2 of Cade Kaufman starting. I really like his wide receivers, Mighty Edmonds, Jazz Negron, Owen Vanderveen. I mean, he's got some weapons. East Kentwood's a team to watch in this OK Red race. And then when we get in the playoffs, they're a team that can make some noise, getting a lot of hype here early in the year. Another player to watch, Tank Terry, the 4-year varsity running back at Granville. Man, is he good. He just recently committed to Ferris State. This despite having 9 D1 offers, including 5 MAC offers. But his father, Drew, played at Ferris, was a really good running back there. Tank is going to follow in his dad's footsteps. And boy, he's really good. You know, Granville runs the wing T. But I'll tell you what, you can hand it to Tank Terry, and even if you know it's coming, it's really, really hard to stop. Granville has 2 non-league games out the gate, home against Muskegon, and then at Cass Tech. I think most people agree, Cass Tech, the best team in Michigan as we start 2025. So always for the Bulldogs, it's a tough schedule, and that's no different this year. Third player to watch, Tamarian Stewart. They call him Ike, committed to Miami of Ohio, the running back from Mona Shores. This will be his 3rd year on varsity. His first 2 years combined 258 carries, 1,935 yards, and 18 touchdowns. This kid is strong, and I'll tell you what, I think he's ready to carry the ball 200 times this season. I mean, he has put on the muscle. He is prepared because Mona Shores graduated a 3-year varsity starting quarterback in Jonathan Pittman. They get Joe Thole to come in, the transfer from Portage Northern, so they have an experienced guy there, but I would not be surprised if Shores hands the ball to Stewart 20 times a game out of their veer option offense. All right, 3 storylines as we start 2025 in West Michigan. Zeeland West has a new coach. First time we've ever said that. John Shillito, the only coach the program's ever had since Zeeland split into 2. Coached them all 20 seasons. He had 41 years as a head coach in high school football when he threw in Comstock Park, Orchard View, and East Kentwood. But 20 years at Zeeland West, they won 4 state titles, more than 80% of their games, including they won the state championship last year in D3, as John Shillito goes on top, beating Detroit Martin Luther King in the state title game. So who do they turn to whenever you have that much success? It's going to be in-house. So they go to Jeff Bullhouse, longtime junior varsity coach at Zeeland West. So things don't really change much for the Ducks, but I'll tell you what, nobody leaves bigger shoes to fill than John Shillito. Seriously, one of the best to ever coach in the state of Michigan. They have 8 returning starters, so not a ton. But I'll tell you what, guys like Marshall Johnson, he started at guard. Last year he's going to make the move to tight end, but on defense as an edge rusher, he's outstanding. Mason Myers at guard and defensive tackle. And Drew Albrecht, who was a sophomore last year, started at safety. He moves in to play quarterback now after the graduation of Trey Slotok. I'll tell you what, Albrecht is a player to watch. Really good dude there. We'll see what Zeeland West can do after John Shillito. How about Muskegon? The Big Reds did not make the playoffs in 2024. They were 3-5 against one of the hardest schedules I've ever seen, but they hadn't missed the playoffs since 1999. Remember, they'd been in the state championship game 8 of 11 seasons between 2013 and 2023, but no playoffs last year, losing to state champion Zeeland West, always tough Rockford, Mona Shores, state runner-up Byron Center, and then state runner-up in Ohio in Division I, Cincinnati Moeller. An incredibly difficult schedule. By the way, 4 of those 5 losses by 2 scores or less. They do have 11 returning starters, led by Ricardo Kitchen, 2027. He'll be a junior, 4-star recruit, 20 Division I offers. Dude can really play. Big for me is quarterback. Last year they had James Young, who transferred in from North Muskegon, a pocket passer. Now Muskegon's a veer option offense. They love to run the ball with the quarterback and pitch it. They go to Lamar Bradford this year. I think they get back to what they do. I don't think Muskegon will miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. And the third storyline to watch in West Michigan, Rockford's expectations. I can't remember a year where we didn't go into the season having Rockford in the top 3 in the area, but this year, I don't think they're there right now. 7-3 last year. That snapped a streak of 3 straight double-digit win seasons, 4 straight perfect regular seasons. The expectations outside of the program are lower than normal for Rockford. They have just 5 starters back. Now, that's not unusual. Rockford usually is a senior-heavy team, and they can be really good with few returning starters. Braden Daniels, though, comes back at quarterback. He started last year as a junior. I think the Rams are looking for him to take a step forward. Luca Hearn, 3-year starter at safety. He's committed to Ferris State. He's as good as they come in the secondary, so he's a guy to watch. PJ LeBlanc got hurt last year. He plays corner. He's really good. So defensively, can Rockford get it done like at the level they've been? Sam Cummings was their leading tackler 2 years ago as a sophomore, missed all of last year with a knee injury, suffered in their scrimmage. He's back in the fold now as a senior. That defense and defense coordinator Randy Vanderveen, that's what Rockford is going to want to hang their hat on. Schedule's tough as always. They open at home against Saline. Kyle Short comes back. Kyle Short, former quarterback and safety at Rockford, went on to play at Grand Valley, and then he was on the coaching staff at Rockford a few years ago. Now he's the head coach at Saline, and he brings a loaded Hornets team to Carlson Munger Stadium on Thursday night. What a great game that should be. And then Rockford goes to Muskegon. Always tough. They open OK Red play at Grand Haven. I think the Bucks will be improved. They have some talent. And then how about their next 3 OK Red games? East Kentwood, Granville, Hudsonville. Wow, that's going to tell us a lot in the OK Red. Thanks so much for having me on the 3 Point Podcast. That's the things we're looking at in 2025 in West Michigan. Don't forget to catch us on the Local Legends Podcast, available on YouTube, also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We've got several preview episodes up now, and then we start Thursday night. We'll be on late after the games, just kind of reacting to games, and we'll get coaches on based on what were the biggest games and biggest results on what they happened. Local Legends Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Hi, this is Brian Calloway of the Lansing State Journal giving you the scoop on high school football in Greater Lansing for 3 Point Podcast. My 3 players to watch are Hazlitt's Corey Mockery, DeWitt's Traverse Moore, and Owasso lineman Carter McCulka. Each is committed to play football at a Division I program, with Mockery headed to Kansas, Moore headed to Central Michigan, and McCulka slated to play at Eastern Michigan. Mockery ran for 1,102 yards and 18 touchdowns in 6 games last year before a broken leg ended his season in Week 8. Moore ran for 1,020 yards and 18 touchdowns last year for DeWitt, while McCulka was a key force in the trenches that helped Owasso to its first winning season since 2012 last year. 3 teams to keep an eye on in Greater Lansing are DeWitt, Portland, and Pewamo, Westphalia. DeWitt set an area record by averaging 54 points a game last season while winning CAAC Blue, District, and Regional titles and making a run to the Division III state semifinals. The Panthers also have several key returners back, like Moore. Portland has been one of the top teams in Division IV in recent seasons and has 2 key running backs back in Caden Dickerson and Nolan Zibitowski. They also have some key pieces back on defense, and defense and the ground game have been staples for that Portland program. Pewamo Westphalia finished as the runner-up in the always strong CMAC last season and will look to get back on top with several experienced players returning, like quarterback Ty Dalen. A few of the storylines to follow on Greater Lansing include, will the area have a state champion for the first time since 2021? The Lansing area has had a pair of runner-up finishers the last 2 years, which included Lansing Catholic and Morris in 2024 and Mason and Corunna in 2023. A couple of other storylines center around what's next for the Mason and Leslie programs. Mason has an area best 53 victories since the start of 2020 and has made at least the state semifinals the last 4 seasons. Can they continue that streak with a new starting quarterback after the loss of star Kason Carswell? Meanwhile, Leslie had a breakthrough season by going 10-2 after winning a combined 9 games the previous 3 seasons. How can they build off a season that included a Cascades Conference title and a Division VII District Championship? That's all for the Lansing area for me. You can follow me on X at Brian_Calloway. For 3 Point Podcast, this is Brian Calloway.
Hey everyone, this is Austin Szumowicz from WNEM TV5 Sports, back again with my guys from the 3 Point Podcast. High school football is back, and in mid-Michigan, there's plenty to be excited for. So let's go over some players and teams that I have my eye on this year. The first team I'm going with is out of the Tri-Valley Conference, and it's the Freeland Falcons. This is the team that's coming off of a 9-2 season where they lost to the inevitable state champions Goodrich in the district final. And if there was ever a year that Freeland was going to make a deep run in the postseason, this might have to be it with the talent on this squad. There are loads of seniors on this Freeland team, one of which being a 3-star offensive lineman committed to Michigan State, Tristan Comer, who should be a big force in the trenches. We've also got 2 returners who committed to play at SVSU with Wilson Huckabee and Xander Wheatley. Head coach Kevin Townsend has built a great program there over in Freeland. They'll be looking for their first district championship since 2021, and it all starts week 1 when they take on Saginaw United. Next, we move over to the Flint Metro League, where the Goodrich Martians, fresh off of their state championship victory over Niles, where they won 35-6, are still a loaded team that is expected to be dangerous this year. Legendary head coach Tom Allward is back for another round with the Martians, and Goodrich has some great players coming back to play for this team this year. Guys like Jacoby Legat and Tanner Mazik are back for their senior year, and they're chasing after back-to-back state championships. And Goodrich only had a single blip on that state championship season, and it was the first game of the year where they got shut out 22-0 to their rivals, the Frankenmuth Eagles, and they're looking for some massive revenge to open the year this season when they face Frankenmuth once again in week 1. Finally, I'm incredibly biased. I go with them basically every year, but this year especially, I'm choosing them as a massive team to look out for. It's my old high school. It's the Davison Cardinals. Now, Davison was one of the most explosive teams last year, proving that they could drop more than 40, 50, sometimes even more than 60 points in a game, but unfortunately they fell just short of the SVL South title, losing out to Grand Blanc in a shootout 55-49, and finishing 7-3 overall with a disappointing first-round exit in the playoffs to Oxford. Now, Davison has really reloaded the squad, returning 6 guys on both sides of the ball. Probably none bigger, though, than offensive lineman and Notre Dame commit Ben Nichols, who is a massive force for Davison on offense. 6'6", 325 pounds, a 4-star recruit that's going to be playing for the Fighting Irish next year, and he will be protecting their star quarterback Jackson Dosh, who is set to play at Western Michigan next year. He was the Saginaw Valley League MVP last year and is expected to make a big jump going into his senior year. I'm expecting the SVL South to be basically a 2-team battle. Davison and their rivals Grand Blanc fighting for that SVL South crown, and they play in week 8 at Grand Blanc, and that's one of the big games in the area that you for sure do not want to miss. Both of those teams are expected to be very good this year. Maybe I'm too biased, but I'm still going with Davison to be the team coming out of the SVL South and a team that could make a huge run in the postseason this year. The Cardinals have a first-time ever opponent for their Week 1 game. They'll be going up against Roseville on August 28th. Moving over to some of the players I think are going to have big years in 2025. I've already mentioned a good few in my team previews, Jackson Dosh being one. Of course, we got huge offensive linemen, both for Freeland and Davison, that are going to be playing some big games. Tanner Mazik as well, another one that should be having a great year under center for Goodrich. Another quarterback that should be really, really strong, Jake Morrow over in Grand Blanc. He had a great season, first team All-SVL. He'll be expected to have a huge one-on-one battle with Jackson Dosh in that Week 8 game against Davison. Can't miss that one for sure. Finally, some storylines that I'm looking at that should be very intriguing. John Glenn last year finished 5-5 overall, They made their first trip to the playoffs since 2020 in their 4th year with their head coach John Horton. Now going into year 5 with the Bobcats, they are feeling like they have raised the standard for John Glenn football. From talking to the team recently, they have a lot of expectations of this team making some noise. And even though some teams outside are being like, hey, take it easy a little bit, you're not there yet, they want to make a real challenge to make a run in the playoffs this year. I think John Glenn should be a very interesting watch this year. Another interesting story comes out of New Lothrop. This team was in the playoffs, it seemed like every year, but last season they finished 3-6, missing the playoffs for the first time since 1999. They've got a small senior group, just 5 seniors after they graduated, 12 last year, but head coach Clint Galvis is expecting his team to grow every week. That'll start when they face Muskegon Catholic Central in week 1. They could be a very interesting watch as they try to get back to the playoffs. Finally, my last interesting storyline comes out of Alma High School. They finished 1-8 last year, and now they're starting a brand new era with their new head coach, Mike Allison. Allison played football at Alma College. He was an assistant coach for both the Scots and at Northwood. It's a nice little homecoming for Allison. This squad is looking to really play for him. They're responding well in practice. Alma will be looking to make a big step forward in their first year under Allison, and they'll look to get things started on the right foot with their first road game of the season when they take on Shepherd in week 1. That'll do it from me. I'm super excited for high school football to be back. Thanks again to my guys at the 3 Point Podcast for bringing me back on once again for another preview episode. Be sure to tune into Friday Night Lights on TV5 with myself, Mark Pearson, and Cole Martins to catch up on all the highlights every week of high school football in mid-Michigan. I'm Austin Szumowicz. Hope you guys enjoy the season. Go Cardinals.
The Shiawassee County Fair is much more than a week of fun in early August. Follow the Shiawassee County Fair on their Facebook page. 127 beautiful rolling acres on Hibbard Road in Corunna. The fairgrounds is a state-licensed campground with all the amenities to make your stay a pleasant and memorable one. Find more details online at ShiawasseeFair.com. The Shiawassee County Fair, friends, family, and fun since 1850.
Nelson House Funeral Home's top goal is to serve the families in our community. The Nelson House staff are proud to serve you with compassion and integrity. Unique service representing unique lives, ensuring your loved ones receive the honor and celebration they deserve. Consider pre-planning your final wishes. Take it from me. When my parents passed, all the details were taken care of, which lifted a big burden from us. Contact the funeral experts at Nelson House by calling 989-723-5234. Go online at nelson-house.com or stop in at 120 East Mason Street in Owasso, serving our area since 1880.
Hi, I'm Brady Beedon from GetStuckOnSports.com. We cover the Blue Water area and Thumb Coast areas of the state of Michigan and are excited to be back here on the 3 Point Pod Pigskin Preview. So let's get right to it. My 3 players to watch have to begin at Port Huron Northern. Depending on who you ask, some may say Lincoln Watkins is the best tight end in the state of Michigan. Watkins, a University of Kentucky commit, does everything for the Huskies. Last year at PHN, he touched the ball 75 different times, and 73 of them resulted in either a first down or a touchdown. He, of course, will be a focal point for Northern this fall. Much to the dismay of every defensive coordinator in the Blue Water Area Conference, Jackson Malberg returns to the Armada Tigers backfield. In his time with the Tigers, Malberg has run for over 3,000 yards and has tallied 25 touchdowns. Last year as a junior, he averaged just north of 7 yards per carry. Look to him to have a monster final senior season with Armada. Ben Farkas at St. Clair was asked to do a lot under first-year head coach Andrew Zolkowski, and he delivered. Last year, the Saints flipped a 2-7 2023 campaign into a 6-win 2024 season. As the signal caller, Farkas will have to carry the load once again if the Saints want to take another step into winning a league title and competing for a district championship. My 3 teams to keep an eye on start out in North Branch. Head coach Chris Sikora, now in his 3rd season, brings back 4 starting offensive linemen, including future Michigan State Spartan Eli Bickle. And alongside that, they have their talented back Michael Gorman in the backfield. While the Broncos have a few talented seniors to replace, North Branch has a strong foundation and will look to propel themselves to the top of the BWAC and back into the postseason. While many programs in the state are dealing with declining numbers, the Marysville Vikings are growing their program and is healthier than ever. With over 100 kids between all three levels, the Vikings are coming off a banner year where they secured their first league title in 8 seasons and beat rival Marine City on the road for the first time in 2 decades. The Vikings made the jump up to the MAC Gold this year, but a healthy program with a growing coaching staff, they're trying to reestablish Marysville as a power in St. Clair County. Marine City, coming off a D6 semifinal appearance a year ago, is going to look to power their way right back there again this season. While yes, they have lost some significant pieces off of that semifinal squad, they continue to churn out stud player after stud player. The question in D6 is, can anyone knock off Jackson Lumen Christie? Well, the Orange and Black are one of the top candidates to do so. Also in D6, want to give a quick shout out to the Almont Raiders. They are as consistent of a program as you will find, and while many around me in the area, it's just a given, a foregone conclusion they will be good, it bears mentioning and giving some love over to the Raiders in Almont. 3 storylines to keep track of this season start with a lot of turnover at the quarterback position. Of the 10 area teams that made the playoffs last year, only 3 will return their starting QB. The aforementioned Ben Farkas is the first one. Brady Wright at Marysville coming into his junior season is the second. And last and certainly not least is the cannon from Croswell, Jax Johnston. For everyone else around the Blue Water area, the question is, how quickly can their new signal caller get settled in? This may be the last dance for the Algonac Muskrats in the Blue Water Area Conference. A founding member of the league back in 2002, the Muskrats applied to join the Macomb Area Conference this spring. While nothing is official yet, all signs are pointing to Algonac being accepted, and should they get the green light, this will be the last time they make a trip around the BWAC playing in league games. And finally, my last storyline to watch is what programs will finally take that next postseason step. It feels like there are several candidates to make a deep, meaningful playoff run this November. Last year, Armada won their first ever district title. Kyle Rowley and company will look to not just repeat, but push a bit further and get to new heights out in Armada. Port Huron Northern has been banging their head against the purple and gold brick wall known as Warren De La Salle the last decade. Can they finally get over that hump now that De La Salle is down in Division III and get their second ever district title? Marysville, despite 2 state titles in their storied history, has never won a district title. The last time the Vikings tallied multiple playoff victories was 1992, last time they won a state championship. You can follow me on Twitter or X at Brady_Beedon, and you can get all your Blue Water area sports coverage at G_StuckOnSports. For 3 Points Podcast, I'm Brady Beedon.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Tyler Graham of Michigan Prep Frenzy, back on the 3 Point Podcast with 3 teams, 3 players, and 3 storylines to keep track of this fall. Starting off with our teams, we've got Brother Rice, Aaron Marshall, fresh off a state championship with Southfield A&T a couple seasons ago. Now with the Warriors, a little bit of a step in the right direction towards the end of last season, but still quite young. We'll see if the youngsters can take a step up and can become a powerhouse. Next up, we've got Saginaw Heritage. Everything that I hear around the Heritage program is positive. Dalen Taylor and Jeremiah Walker are going to lead a powerful run game under head coach Justin Thielen, who has done wonderful things for that program. And next is Rockford. We'll see how they can bounce back after an uncharacteristic season. Still went 7-3 and defeated Cass Tech and Muskegon back-to-back, and we know what those teams are traditionally. Players to watch, we've got Brady Van Lake, quarterback out of Hudsonville, taking over the reins after Hudsonville's state runner-up last season. Next up, we've got Keegan McHugh, an athlete from Kalamazoo United. Does a little bit of everything for this team, plays some DB, plays some scat back, some wide receiver. I've seen him take snaps. The kid can just do anything. A little bit of an underrated guy you might want to watch out for. And last, we've got Kendall Franklin out of Belleville. Quarterback is going to be stepping into maybe the biggest shoes in the entire state, stepping in for Bryce Underwood. 3 storylines that I'm looking out for. Aforementioned Hudsonville. and Byron Center, both teams that were state runner-ups in their respective divisions last year. They will square off in week 1 this season. I think that game is going to be super telling for both of these teams on where their ceiling can be. Next up, we've got just Belleville in general. Obviously, losing Bryce Underwood is huge, but they've got a ton of other athletes that they're going to have to replace. But we know Belleville, we know what they can do. We know that they reload every single year. Next up, we've got the OK Red. The race for the OK Red is going to be a blast this year. Hudsonville coming off obviously a state finals appearance. Rockford going to be looking to bounce back after a kind of uncharacteristic season. And Granville, Jaden Terry leading the charge there in the backfield. And then East Kentwood, Tyrone Spencer heading into year 2 with Michigan State commit Cade Kaufman at the helm. And then obviously Caledonia, Grand Haven, West Ottawa, Jenison, always improving. There are absolutely no weeks off in the OK Red. For the 3 Point Podcast, I am Tyler Graham, MICHFB Frenzy on Twitter. Thanks to the 3 Point Podcast for having me back.
All right, this is Jerod Fattal of the 3 Point Podcast. I am here to talk about the Metro Detroit region, which, by the way, is the best region for football in this entire state. I mean, just look at the stats. 2023 NFL season, 19 rostered players from the city of Detroit. Pretty unreal. Let's talk about the best region in the entire state, Detroit. All right, my number one storyline to watch is Brother Rice and head coach Aaron Marshall. Listen, the state of high school football in Michigan is just better when Brother Rice is good, and I think that he is going to be the coach to do it. He's now entering his second year. 2-7 last year, but it was a rebuilding year. They are going to rely on young underclassmen this year, especially these 2 key sophomores. Wide receiver Christian Marshall, who is actually the younger brother of current Kansas quarterback Isaiah Marshall. And let me just say this, he's already a super athlete. I watched this kid work out with his brother as just an 8th grader, and he looked ready for varsity then. I'm excited to see what he does not only this year, but in the coming years for Brother Rice to get them back on the map. On top of that, they also have Jaden J-Bell Bell, 6'5", 215 already. Oh, and yes, he's been offered by Alabama. Coach Marshall's going to be counting on those 2 guys to help lead this program into the future. And maybe it's just me, man. I really do appreciate this Brother Rice story. I mentioned it on last year's Prep Pigskin preview, because there's something special about a old alumni going back to his roots, going back to Brother Rice and trying to rebuild a program that's fallen on some hard times. I'm excited to see what he does with Brother Rice, not only this year, but over the next couple years, because we've seen Coach Marshall do this before at Southfield A&T with Isaiah Marshall, Tashi Braceville, a couple of those guys he brought up when they were young freshmen, and by the time they were seniors, they're winning state titles. I think a similar thing could be brewing here with Brother Rice. Time will tell. And we're going to have a great measuring stick game week 1 versus Macomb, Dakota. Let's see what both those programs are about. On to the next storyline. Storyline number 2. Is this the year Detroit Catholic Central can get over the hump, get back to Ford Field, and win the state title this year? They are absolutely loaded. I count roughly 8 Division I players on the roster. Pound for pound, I think it might be the best in the entire state, top to bottom. Take a look at some of these names. Let's start with wide receiver Samson Gash, who is the son of Sam Gash, a 12-year NFL player, 2-time Pro Bowler who also played for Penn State. Oh, and he has another son that's singing that we're going to get to in a second. But Samson Gash, this kid is committed to play for Michigan State next year. Wide receiver, absolute stud. Got 42 passes, 730 yards, and 12 touchdowns as just a junior. Oh, and he also rushed for 350 yards as well, en route to an all-state season. On top of that, the guy's an absolute freaking burner. 10-4-1 in the state finals for the 100-meter dash. Yeah, that'll set a state record in the state of Michigan. They are going to rely heavily on him this year to make some big-time plays. On top of that, he also has his younger brother, Gideon Gash, who is only a junior, and he already has 4 Big Ten offers, including an offer to the University of Michigan. On top of that, they have Big Ten talent all across the roster. Let's start up front with the trenches. Jack Jonda, tight end, who's committed to the University of Wisconsin. Benjamin Uzika, another offensive lineman, committed to Penn State. Oh, on top of this, they have a 2027 offensive tackle named Eric Anderson with 4 Division I offers already from the MAC Conference. Simply put, they're literally going to be able to run it on whoever the hell they want this year. Junior quarterback Duke Banta will be the signal caller for DCC this season. He has 4 Division I offers as well from the MAC. Are you noticing a trend here? The only concern for me is the Catholic League. or as I call it, the SEC of Michigan high school football. I mean, it should be quite the battle this year. Think about what you have coming back. You have Division II returning champion Orchard Lake St. Mary back with a new quarterback, Javin Gonzalez, who's the son of head coach Jermaine Gonzalez. I think he's going to be pretty dynamic this season. You have Dan Roan and De La Salle back with something to prove. We already mentioned Brother Rice, let alone all the other teams in this conference. I'm very excited to see how the Catholic League shakes out. And one of those big-time games that's going to determine it, September 20th, Orchard Lake St. Mary's for Detroit Catholic Central. Let's see what both those teams are all about. But to me, I'm fascinated by the story. Head coach Justin Sasante heading into his third year. I really think they have what it takes to get it done this year and win Division I. All right, final storyline for me in the Metro Detroit region. It is Rochester Adams. This is a personal pick for me. I absolutely love the Rochester Adams program. Not that anybody cares about my high school accolades, but I was inside veer running quarterback, and Rochester Adams is one of the only schools left in the state of Michigan still running it extremely well. Adams had a little bit of a quiet season last year despite making it all the way to the semifinals. Oh, and on top of that, they lost their starting quarterback, Rhineland, quote-unquote Rhino, love that nickname, Waters, midway through the year last year. He had over 1,000 yards and 12 TDs in just 4.5 games before he suffered a broken foot. But Rochester Adams kept on without him. Head coach Tony Petrito runs a great program over there. It's not surprising that they were able to pick up the pieces. But what's exciting to me about Rochester Adams this year is Rhineland Waters' health. I really think he's a dynamic quarterback. He's already committed to Fair State, where Tony Anise is going to turn him into a great dual-threat quarterback and improve on the skills he already has. I view Tony Petrito as a little bit of a quarterback whisperer. We've seen Rochester Adams have some great quarterbacks throughout the years. I think of Parker Pico in 2021. He's now at Alabama playing baseball. I think of Tony Anise, who went on to have a great career at Central Michigan. And then even before that, I think the 2003 state champion Rochester Adams team led by Alan Guy. Coach Petrito runs a great program over there, and I'm excited to see what the Highlanders do this season. On to my top 3 teams to watch. The number 1 team is obvious. It's Cass Tech, the returning Division I champions. They are going to be loaded this year as usual. They'll be looking to repeat for the first time since 2011 and 2012, which at the time they were led by young hotshot quarterback J. Rue Campbell. And honestly, the sophomore stud quarterback Donald Tabern II reminds me a little bit of J. Rue. The potential, the talent. Simply put, he has the goods. But he's not alone. North Carolina commit and my self-proclaimed most electric player in the entire state, CJ Sadler, is back. He's committed to North Carolina to play for Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels. I'm excited to see how these guys grew in the offseason. They are going to have to fill the shoes of wide receiver / defensive back Alex Graham, who had a great state championship game last year versus Hudsonville. He's now at USC, where he's expected to make an immediate impact on that Lincoln Riley defense. Listen, if anybody can reload, it's Cass Tech. No one puts players into the NFL like Cass Tech in Michigan. That's a fact. I'm excited to see how they rebuild. Speaking of which, I already mentioned 2 players. Those guys are a part of my 2 players to watch. Let's just combine it right here for Cass Tech. I mentioned the first one, Donald Tabern II. Wow, was he impressive last year as a true freshman. Last year in the state championship game, he went 15 for 20 for 3 TDs again. That's as a true freshman in Division I football in Michigan. Last time we saw that was Bryce Underwood for Belleville, and he's playing for millions on Saturdays now. I'm excited to see what the future holds for Tabern. He has incredible poise. I think he has the potential to be a national name in a couple years as a senior. But most importantly, I'm excited to see what he does this year paired up with CJ Sadler, who is my number 2 player to watch. CJ Sadler, he now has the record for the most consecutive years as a player to watch in 3 Point Podcast. Prep Pigskin Preview. Put that on a banner in Cass Tech's gym or out on their football field. Either one works. But this guy, I mean, flat out, dude, there's not enough adjectives to fit how dynamic he is. I cannot wait to see how Bill Belichick uses him at North Carolina next year. He's going to be a returner, probably immediately. He's going to return punts, kicks. I could see him playing defense. I could see him playing offense. I could see him being a gadget running back. I could see him doing whatever Coach Belichick needs at North Carolina. But for now, let's just appreciate this guy for what he is, maybe the most electric player in the state, and let's enjoy watching him on Friday nights under the lights in downtown Detroit. On to my next team to watch. All right, my second team to watch is another easy one. I mean, Jackson Lemon Christie. Flat out, can anyone take these guys down? I mean, they're reaching Ithaca levels of success right now. They bumped up to Division VI last year. Didn't matter. Still won. Flat out, I'm going to say it again, can anybody take these guys out? Herb Brogan, coaching in his 45th season, just one of the best to ever do it. One of my favorite games this regular season is actually their Week 2 matchup versus Pontiac Notre Dame Prep, which was the Division V champion. I think it's going to be an all-time great clash of styles, and I think it'll be a good telltale sign of where both these programs sit no matter who wins, I'd expect both of them probably to still make it to Ford Field. They will have to replace running back Cadale Williams, who, if you remember right, had a record-setting performance in the 2024 MHSA Division VI State Championship game. Yeah, he rushed for 314 yards, 5 touchdowns, no big deal, in a 56-18 win over Lansing Catholic, and he now plays on Saturdays for Toledo. On top of him, they're also going to have to replace 10 of their 11 starters on offense. The only player returning is senior offensive lineman Antoine Baker. And in order to win their 4th straight title, they're going to rely heavily on junior quarterback Ben Gaston and running back Amarion Clay, who will be tasked with replacing the workload Williams left behind at running back. If anyone can get them ready by playoffs, it's legendary coach Herb Brogan. They are always a team to watch in this area, and I can't wait to see how they fare with a very, very tough schedule, including a game versus Grand Rapids Catholic Central as well. On to my next team. And similar to Cass Tech, this will tie in with my last player to watch. It is the Saline Hornets, led by quarterback Tommy Carr, younger brother of CJ Carr, who's just named the starter for Notre Dame in their upcoming game this weekend against Miami. I can't wait to see what this kid does. Saline, to me, is a team that's always pretty talented, but just for whatever reason hasn't been able to get over that hump and win a state title. They are loaded this year with Division I talent. I don't even need to list the names. It's very similar to Detroit Catholic Central. But to me, it's all about Tommy Carr. This kid is a stud, and he's following in his brother's footsteps. He is going to play on Saturday. He's going to play for Miami of Ohio. To me, I expect a lot out of him this year, and I'm excited to see how we can elevate the Carr name even more in the state of Michigan when it comes to football. I can't wait to see what they do. And we're going to find out week 1 in an all-time East vs. West matchup between Rockford and Saline. I can't wait to watch this one. I know a lot of people around the state can't wait to see this one. And especially what Tommy Carr does behind center. He had a great year last year. Let's see if he can build on it. I'm excited to see what the young guy does, not only this year, but looking ahead the rest of his career. That's it for the Detroit metro area. My name is Jerod Fattal, 3 Point Podcast. Thank you for listening to me blabber away. I can't wait for this year. It's going to be a blast, especially in the best region in the state, and that is Detroit. Let's have a great season. Looking forward to it.
This is Aaron Houle, and I run the Flint Prep Fan social media account. I'm here to talk about the Flint and Genesee County area teams. This area is loaded with talent, so it's difficult to narrow this down to just 3 players, but here are 3 who you need to keep your eye on for the 2025 season. Starting with the number 3 player to watch, we have Jacoby Legat from Goodrich High School. Jacoby is a two-way player who was dominant on both sides of the ball last year on Goodrich's run to the state title. In 2024, Legat had 709 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. He did all of this while sharing snaps with first-team All-State running back Chase Burnett. Defensively, he had 32 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 2 forced fumbles. I expect Jacoby to step up and have a very productive season running the ball behind an experienced O-line, which I'll talk more about later. Next, the number 2 player to watch for in the Flint area is third-year starter for the Grand Blanc Bobcats, senior QB Jake Morrow. Jake had an outstanding junior season leading the Bobcats to the SBL South title and a regional final. Morrow threw for over 2,400 yards with 24 touchdown passes. Not only can he sling it, Jake is a dual-threat QB. He rushed for over 800 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. Morrow will continue to have weapons around him, like receiver Kasten Sendry and tight end Aaron Jones. The Bobcat offense will go as Jake goes this season. Look for him to have another exciting season at Grand Blanc. And the number 1 player to watch out for in the Flint area is Davison senior QB Jackson Dosh. Much like his SVL South counterpart, Dosh is a dual-threat QB that will be tough to stop. In 2024, Dosh threw for over 1,900 yards and 23 touchdowns. He also added 377 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. Jackson is committed to play at Western Michigan for the 2026 season. Dosh and the Cardinals are hungry, so I expect even bigger things from the senior QB. Next up is my 3 teams to watch out for, and apart from one of the teams, I think 2 are flying under the radar just a little bit. The 3rd team to watch out for is the Montrose Rams. They are now in Division 6 after being D7 last year. The Rams look to continue the longest playoff streak in the Flint area. Currently, the streak sits at 15 years, and they're looking to make it 16 in a row. Coach Reinhardt tells me they have 21 returning starters, including wide receiver and defensive end MJ Daly, defensive back Griffin O'Neill, and O-lineman Connor Thompson. Sophomore Eli Moore will step in at QB. The second team to keep an eye out for the Flint area is Division III Fenton Tigers. The Fenton Tigers had a busy and productive summer at 7-on-7 tournaments. They competed against some of the best teams in the state, including Grand Blanc, Saginaw Heritage, West Bloomfield, and Goodrich. I was impressed with QB Noah Shields' arm last year when they beat Flushing to clinch the Flint Metro League Stripes division. We'll know real quick where the Fenton Tigers stand because they start the season with 2 tough games against Midland Dow and Hazlitt. Now, my number 1 team to watch and my first storyline is the Goodrich Martians. Can the Martians repeat as Division IV state champions? I believe that they have the talent to do so. Losing Chase Burnett and Max Macklin will hurt, but I've already mentioned Jacoby Legat as a key returner. Other key returners include senior QB and defensive back Tanner Mazic, as well as 3 outstanding O-linemen that all carry offers to play at the next level. This line will be dominant once again as Goodrich will continue to run the ball. Coach Tom Allward, now going into his 33rd season at the helm, will have to have his boys ready to play right out the gate. Week 1, they host Division V runner-up Frankenmuth at home. These two have played for the last 4 years, with Frankenmuth leading the series 3-1 in that time frame. Then, Week 2, Goodrich heads to now Division II Lapeer, who has made the Division I playoffs 11 years in a row. The Martians have a good shot to make it back to Ford Field for the 3rd time in 4 years. My next storyline is the battle for the Saginaw Valley League South title. Davison and Grand Blanc have split the SVL the last 4 years, with Grand Blanc winning in 2021 and 2024, and Davison winning it in 2022 and 2023. Both teams are loaded with talent. For Davison, I mentioned Jackson Dosh at QB, but keep an eye out on Cortez Porter on both sides of the ball, and one of the best O-linemen in the state, Notre Dame commit Ben Nichols. Davison are revamping the defense this year. After a year, it was a surprising weak point. Look for Coach Jake Weingart's team to play with a huge chip on their shoulders after a disappointing 2024 season. For Grand Blanc, Coach Caleb Four and the Bobcats are hoping to have even more success than they did last year. Bobcats made it to the regional final for the 2nd time in 4 years. They went 9-3 last season, with those 3 losses by a total of 10 points. They have multiple weapons, as I mentioned before, with Kason Sendry and Aaron Jones. Look out for Jeremiah Coleman, a junior. He will be the lead running back this year. He shared snaps last year and will be exciting to watch this upcoming season. The SVL winner should be one of those 2, but do not be surprised to see Saginaw Heritage throw their hat in the ring. They have plenty of talent. They've been to the regional finals in D2 2 years in a row, and they only lost to Grand Blanc by 1 point last year. The SVL South will be a fun battle to watch all season long. My last storyline is how difficult the Mid-Michigan Activities Conference, or MMAC, will be to win. Chesaning comes in as 2-time MMAC champ, and in those 2 years have had a 17-1 record in the regular season. There will be a lot of new faces on Chesaning's squad, so we'll see if their stranglehold on the MMAC continues. Ovid Elsie is another really good program. They went to state semifinals 2 years ago, and last year shocked one of the D6 favorites, Almont, in the first round of districts. As before, I mentioned Montrose as a team to watch out for. Another team that will look to challenge for the MMAC title is Division 8 New Lothrop. They will be a threat as they look for redemption from last year's 3-6 season. Birch Run and Duran can also have a huge impact on the MMAC conference title as well. Thank you to the 3 Point Podcast for having me on. Again, my name is Aaron Houle from Flint Prep Fan social media page. You can follow me on X, Instagram, and Facebook. My handle is @FlintPrepFan.
Jacobs Insurance Agency has served Shiawassee County and the surrounding areas since 1977. Just like 3 Point Podcast, we've had 3 generations: Gary Jacobs Sr., Gary Jacobs II, Brian Jacobs, and myself, Noah Jacobs, serving our community with offices in Waterford and Owasso on M21, just west of Home Depot. Stop in or go online to jacobsinsurance.com to get a quote or get your questions answered by our team. Jacobs Insurance is a proud supporter of our local schools and the proud sponsor of the Prep Spotlight. Insure everything, local, independent, and trusted. It's our family working together to protect yours. That's the Jacobs way.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? Look no further. Introducing AZee Branding Solutions, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. At AZee, we're committed to helping businesses and organizations like yours reach new heights. Our full-service print and digital branding agency is your one-stop destination for all things branding. Need a stunning web or graphic design that captures your essence? We've got you covered. Want captivating social media content that engages your audience? Done. And that's not all. We're experts in video production and photography, ensuring your brand tells a compelling visual story. Plus, we specialize in screen printing and embroidery, turning your brand into wearable art that speaks volumes. Whether you're a startup or an established business, AZee is here to transform your brand dreams into reality. Ready to grow with us? Partner with AZee today and experience the difference. Visit our website at www.azee.co or give us a call at 1-844-360-AZEE. AZee Branding Solutions, where your success begins.
Nichols Painting will take care of all your painting needs, whether it's residential, commercial, indoor, or outdoor, and fully insured. Nichols Painting offers quality work at an affordable price. Over 30 years experience with glowing references, you're sure to be happy with your next project. With a team of skilled painters, they provide high-quality painting solutions to enhance the appeal of any space. Nichols Painting did some painting at my place, and we were thrilled with the results. Call or text Josh of Nichols Painting, 989-494-3244. Get your free estimate and schedule your paint job today.
Hi, this is Tyler Young from Fox Sports Marquette 105.1 and 99.9, giving you a preview of UP football for the upcoming season. 3 players to watch from the UP are Pavel McCutcheon from Marquette, Tanner Turcoff from Menominee, and Gunnar Bennin from Pickford. Pavel McCutcheon is going into his senior season for the Marquette Sentinels, and he's already committed to Grand Valley State University. He is going to be a big part of their offensive line. He's played alongside 2 Division I players the last couple of years. Talon and Dason Smith, both of them are now at Central Michigan University. Marquette's had a successful football team the last couple of years, and I think that Pavel McCutcheon will allow that to continue here this season. Next on the list is Tanner Turcoff from Menominee, and he's coming off of a fantastic junior year. All UP, all conference honors, 1,425 yards passing with 16 touchdowns, and then another 757 yards rushing and 14 more touchdowns. He is going to be a fantastic player for Menominee, leading their attack, a team that's already going to be potent because they have 14 seniors coming back from last season's team. Rounding out my players to watch for this season, Gunnar Bennin from Pickford. As a junior, last year he had 793 yards, 13 a carry, 19 touchdowns, plus 336 yards receiving with 8 touchdowns. You might think the numbers for his run game aren't that fantastic, and yeah, they could have been better, but he also had one of the great quarterbacks in the UP, Tommy Story, playing alongside him. Tommy Story ended up with 1,355 rushing yards and 24 touchdowns. Now he is out from the Tommy Story shadow. Gunnar Bennin, I think, will have a big season and make a big step up for the Pickford Panthers. In terms of teams to watch in the UP, the first one I want to talk about is Escanaba. They're coming off a 5-4 season last year, their first winning season since 2019, and they're returning 5 key seniors who are in their 3rd year playing varsity football. This could be a big year for Escanaba, and they have every opportunity to make this one of the best years in recent memory. Speaking of returning seniors, let's go back to Menominee because they have 14 seniors coming back this year, 23 total upperclassmen. And this is a team that last year finished 10-2. The Menominee Maroons look to be loading up for a big run here this season. We already talked about Tanner Turkoff, but the rest of the offense is fantastic too. Clayton Miller, all UP, all conference. He ran for 817 yards and 13 touchdowns as part of a Maroons offense that averaged 41.7 points per game in 2024. Crystal Falls Forest Park is another team to keep an eye on in 2025. They're defending state champions in 8-player Division II, and once again, they're returning a lot of the talent that got them there. One exception is Vic Giuliani. He had an off-season injury that will keep him out of the lineup for all of 2025, which is unfortunate. However, they are bringing back Dax Hookey. He had over 20 touchdowns last season. He's probably going to have another big year. They will also depend on Noah Starr, the junior quarterback, who is stepping up in Vic Giuliani's place. Forest Park looking to repeat as Division II 8-player state champions. 3 storylines to keep an eye out for this season. Let's start with Superior Central. They are back after having taken last year off of varsity football due to low numbers and risk of injury because they had mostly freshmen and sophomores come out to play football. They're back this season. Hopefully, this will reignite the football spark for Superior Central. One of the oldest rivalries in high school football is back on the schedule. Marquette and Negaunee will resume their Diamond Jubilee Trophy battle after a few years on hiatus. Last time this game was played actually was 2017. This rivalry goes back to 1894. That was the first time Marquette played Negaunee. It's the second oldest Michigan football rivalry, the only other one being Battle Creek Central and Kalamazoo Central. That was 1893. Having the Diamond Jubilee Trophy back is fantastic for high school football in both Marquette and Negaunee. And speaking of Negaunee football, a new era for Negaunee because head coach Paul Jacobson retired after last season. He spent 25 years at the helm of the Miners. Stepping into his role is Jeff Nemi, longtime assistant coach for the Miners. Nemi will become only the 3rd head coach of the Negaunee Miners since 1968. Follow along with UP football news at foxsportsmarquette.com. For the 3 Point Podcast, I'm Tyler Young.
Hello, this is Matthew Scheidel, the sports editor for the Argus Press. We cover all the teams in Shiawassee County: Owasso, Corunna, Durand, Langsburg, New Lothrop, Perry, Byron, Morris, as well as 2 teams just outside of the county in Ovid-Elsie and Chesapeake. Those are the 10 schools in our coverage area. My 3 players to watch are Isaac Jacobs of Corunna. He's a receiver. He's a senior this year. He's just an absolute burner on the outside for the Cavaliers. He's gone to the track state finals before in the 100 and 200 meter dash. Just a really fast kid and an exceptional athlete. He'll be the focus offensively for Corunna this season. My second player is Alex McEwen of Perry. He's an offensive and defensive lineman. He led the state last year with 13 sacks. He was named first team All-State by the Associated Press. The big, strong kid. He's going to anchor Perry's offensive line as well. He's also just super athletic. Head coach Steve Bentley has said that he'd play him at tight end if he could, which is crazy. Definitely keep an eye out for Alex McEwen. And then my last player to watch is Owen Long of Ovid-Elsie. He's a senior this year. He has moved all around, but he's going to be replacing Trace Tokar at quarterback this season. He's the son of Ovid-Elsie coach Travis Long, and again, he's moved around throughout his time. He's a really athletic kid, and now he's going to be handed the keys to the offense for his senior year. It'll be interesting to see how he handles the transition. My 3 teams to watch. First up, the Owasso Trojans. They returned some talent, especially along the offensive line, most notably tackle Carter Mikulka. He's committed to Eastern Michigan. They also returned senior quarterback Liam Patrick. They started last season 3-0 before losing 4 of its final 6 games, but one could say that they're a year away from truly competing for a playoff spot. Now in Ron Tyner's 4th year at the helm, is this finally the year? We'll have to wait and find out. Second team to watch is Durand. They have a very large senior class led by Carver Purdy at running back and linebacker. Sophomore Lucas Goodman is going to take the reins at quarterback. They're big and athletic on the offensive line, which is key for that power T offense that Coach John Webb likes to run. Last season, the Railroaders went 5-4, but could have won 8-1. They lost 3 games by a combined 10 points. They lost by 6 to Montrose, lost by 3 to Chesaning, and lost by 1 to Bergtrand. If any one of those games had flipped in Durant's favor, we were probably looking at a playoff game. This should be a big year for the Railroaders. In my last team, we're going to go down to the CMAC and talk about the Perry Ramblers. They went 3-6 last year in Steve Bentley's first year as head coach since 2010. But they went 5-4 in 2023 and made the playoffs, so this is a program that's had some recent success. They weren't that far away from making the playoffs last year. There were a couple games where if they'd went the other way, probably would have resulted in the second straight playoff appearance for the Ramblers. Tiger Whitbeck is back at quarterback. They got a nice group of running backs. They're big and athletic on the O-line, led by offensive tackle Alex McEwen, who we talked about earlier. And combine that with the weird but fun pistol triple option offense that Bentley likes to run, where they mix all kinds of different formations. Don't be surprised if Perry makes the big dance in 2025. And finally, my 3 storylines to watch. We're going to start with the MMAC race. Every coach that I've talked to has said the same thing. This conference is wide open. Chesaning has won it the last 2 years, but they lost a lot of talent from last year. Ovidelsi should still be up there. Duran's got a pretty good shot. If I had to choose a favorite right now, it's probably Montrose, but it's so hard. The league's going to be a gauntlet this season, and it should be fun to watch. Second storyline to watch is, can New Lothrop make it back to the playoffs? The Hornets missed the playoffs for the first time since 1999. That's the tail end of the Clinton administration. It just wasn't a good year for them at 3-6. Now they're kind of in uncharted territory, especially for Coach Clint Galvis, who had never missed the postseason in his 16 years as New Lothrop coach. Galvis told me that this is the youngest team he's ever had. He's got 5 sophomores and a freshman on the team this year with only 5 seniors, so it might be an uphill battle for the Hornets as they look to get back to the playoffs. And finally, like we talked about earlier, is this the year for the Owasso Trojans? We talked a little bit about this towards the start, but they got some guys back. It's the 4th year under Ron Tyner. They've gotten better every year, so on paper, this has got to be the year for them, right? We'll just have to see. You can pick up a copy of the Argus Press at newsstands all throughout Shiawassee County, or you can go to our website at argus-press.com. For the 3 Point Podcast, this is Argus Press sports editor Matthew Scheidel.
Hello, this is Geoff Kimmerly from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, and these are my 3 storylines for the 2025 football season. Number 1, while total participation in school sports, high school sports specifically, was up 1.9% last year, which is great news, especially when you consider that enrollment at member high schools across the state fell by 1.3%. Football has even bigger news. Football participation last year was up 3% to 36,210 high school athletes playing the sport. That total just continues to grow after a bit of a downturn a decade ago. And actually, this 36,210 athletes last year was the highest in the state since the 2017-18 school year. We're looking forward to another big one this fall. Number 2, we always like to give you an update on what changes might be in store for our finals and our playoffs as a whole. This year, again, our 11-player finals at Ford Field will have a bit of a broken up schedule. We will be playing our even-numbered games, divisions 8, 4, 6, and 2 on Friday, November 28th, and we'll be finishing up with our odd-numbered matchups, divisions 7, 3, 5, and 1 on Sunday, November 30th. We're doing this time to accommodate Michigan State's football game against Maryland on November 29th at Ford Field. So tune in for some high school football on Fridays and Sunday this year, and then you can check out Michigan State on Saturday. Also, our 8-player semifinals for the first time will be played at neutral sites this year. In the past, we played those games at the team with the highest regular season playoff point average. However, for the first time, similar to what we do with 11-player football, we will be selecting a neutral site, turf field, hopefully as evenly spaced or evenly distanced from the two teams competing as possible. We will announce those after the regional finals. Finally, number 3, I guess this is something of a no news is good news or easier to follow news, if nothing else. Generally, we try and update you every fall on rules changes on the field that will be noticeable, and we have very little to report this year. Really, the only change on the field that you might notice is a change in rule in terms of how fumbles are spotted when they go out of bounds. Previously, they would be spotted at the point where the ball went to the sideline. Moving forward, we will spot the ball instead where the fumble took place on the field. That's all for now. Follow us at www.mhsa.com. We are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on TikTok. You can find all of those feeds directly from the homepage of our website. For the 3 Point Podcast, this is Geoff Kimmerly from the MHSAA.
All right, next on the podcast, we're excited to have the brand new Corunna Cavalier head football coach, Jason Beldyga, joining us. And, you know, you've been a long-time member of the football program, but initial thoughts, how's it feel to be the man in charge?
It's exciting, a little scary. I used to think as a defense coordinator, you know, a couple nights before a game, you would like sit up in bed and be worried about what teams are going to do to you offensively. And I'm finding as a head coach that the amount of sleep I'm getting is is even less. That you worry about every little detail, not just the defense. But it is exciting. It's been really kind of a being around the program for so long, and now getting to be in charge of the program has been really kind of sound cheesy, but a dream come true for me.
Well, that's what you hear about when a lot of guys take over a program, whether it's college or whatever, professional, even high school. As they go from coordinator to head coach. It's almost like you turn into the CEO, right? Like you're talking about, you used to just worry about the defense, but now you have to worry about everything, even media interviews.
Yeah,
coming on the 3 Point Podcast.
This stuff does not roll downhill; it rolls uphill. I can tell you that.
Right. No, I'm sure. Yeah, like you said, dream come true, and it's super cool. You deserve it. So we're all excited for you, and very curious to see where you take the Cavaliers. I wanted to ask you. So you hear about when new head coaches come in, taking over for a coach who had a ton of success. You know, maybe something like Sharon Moore taking over for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, or, you know, obviously there's a bunch of other examples where a coach comes in, he was in the program, takes over for a coach who had a ton of success. You want to keep things rolling. You want to keep things going from that previous head coach. The program's been established, but it's your program now. You know, you are the head coach. So what have you, you know, the month or so that you've been head coach, what have you learned already, and what are you trying to do to keep what Coach Herrick built with Corunna, but, you know, establish your program?
No, that's a really good point. So one of the things I've been very fortunate is I was a coordinator, either offense or defensive varsity coordinator under 4 different head coaches at Corunna: Kyle Robinson, Mike Sullivan, Chris Curtis, and Steve Herrick. And I've learned a little bit from each coach. And like you said, you know, obviously we've got a great foundation here at Corunna. You guys are all part of that foundation. So that goes back to that part about, you know, the lack of sleep is you want to uphold the history of the program, but at the same point, you also want to put your own stamp on it. You know, in terms of like what that stamp looks like, it's just kind of doing it your own way. But, you know, when I say doing it, it's the little things. I mean, I'm up at school tonight working on, you know, Wednesday pregame practices and what do pregame practices look like, and what have we done in the past that I like? What have we done in the past that, you know, maybe I wasn't a big fan of? But obviously when you're a coordinator and assistant coach, you support the head coach. So I'm finding those things as I go along for sure.
You mentioned this week. I mean, this whole podcast, we hear about all different teams from all across the state. I mean, I'm jealous of you guys getting ready for week 1. You know, 0 in the win column, 0 in the loss column. Just so much like hope and excitement for what the season will bring. I mean, how much fun are you having right now, Flato? I know you're not sleeping much, but it's got to be pretty magical to be entering.
I'm having a blast. I really am. You know, going back to, I enjoyed my time in administration. I was the athletic director for 3 years, and then I was an assistant principal over at our elementary building. And I loved my time. I love the people I worked with, but there's something special about working with high school kids and kids that want to compete and get better every day. So as much as I am the guy that's saying that I'm losing sleep, it's right now is a really fun time, especially this time of the year that, you don't know anything about really anybody. You don't really know anything about yourself, to be honest with you. You think you do at times, and then other times it surprises you. So there's that anxiety of what are we? Who can we be? And it's a lot of fun right now, for sure.
Philosophical type of question here, Coach.
Yep.
Football's a game where you got to have discipline, right? So how do you balance discipline and letting the kids have fun?
Yeah, that's, I don't know who the coach was that did the study, and I'm sure there's been dozens have done this study that you look at like penalties for, teams that are highly penalized are also, there's that side that, I'm highly we're a highly penalized team, but we're also physical, and
right.
It's that match. So, we try when a kid, we apply everything to our team. So for instance, if we've got a rule in our program about bad language, we'll just put it that way. And when a bad word flies, we all, coaches included, hit the deck, and we're doing push-ups because it affects us all in a game. Right. That's a 15-yard penalty. So I really, I probably need the kids to pick it up a little bit more, so get me down on the ground doing some more push-ups. But it also has been, I think the kids enjoy seeing us as coaches that we're willing to do things right along with them. But yeah,
interesting.
I'll jump in. I got two. I got. Sorry, wasn't sure if Matt was going to jump in or not, but I got two questions for you. One kind of fun one, and then one somewhat serious one. We'll start with the fun one. So I know you watch the show Hard Knocks. Do you ever think as a head coach, like, man, what would it be like having a film crew just follow me around through training camp through a season? What do you think that would look like?
I tell you what, you guys know Sam Schuster. He's our JV defense coordinator. He's been around I told him the other day, I said, if you put me in one more of our Twitter pictures, I'm going to fire you. And I don't even know if I can fire him, but I'm going to fire. I don't like seeing my picture. I will never be in the front row of a picture. I can tell you that. I like to be kind of the guy that's not, I don't know. I guess it's my personality.
Right. But you're cool having video on this interview, right? So you're okay with that?
I'm not looking at myself at the other monitor, so I'm good. As long as I stare at that camera, I'm good.
And then I mentioned when you were initially hired earlier this year, what a great speech you had back when you were defensive coordinator for my team. I still remember it. Still, our team still talks about how great of a speech it was. What's going to be your message, in the locker room? I wish I was sitting in the locker room hearing it. What's going to be your message to the team week one, facing a pretty good opponent in Fowler that I think is a good measuring stick? What's going to be your message to that team in that locker room, or is that top secret?
That one's going to be pretty simple, and it's just do your job, and you don't have to do anyone else's job. It's okay to be nervous. I'm going to have butterflies being my first. I've been on the sideline for hundreds of games, or in the box for hundreds of games, but that's okay. Nerves are okay. Those things are okay. So don't try to pretend like they're not there, and embrace that, because that's the part of football that's, any high school sport that's fun, is competing with your teammates, but just doing our job. I gave them a talk the other day about, and I may have done this with you, Jerod, with the Clydesdales and the difference of the Clydesdales. The one Clydesdale by itself can pull like 6,000 pounds, and together, the first week you get them together, they can pull, I don't know, like 24,000. And then eventually when they start working together, it's like 30,000 pounds. So we talked about that I try to bring those stories in about, in that case, that competition is a good thing. But then once you learn to compete against each other, and then once you eventually get to the point that you're working with one another, you're able to accomplish some great things.
Before we move on, just talk a little bit about what we can expect from this year's Cavaliers, maybe some of the players that you're going to be looking to really lead the way.
Yeah, we've got a great group. On offense, we have some weapons. Isaac Jacobs is a burner. Our team speed is really our strength, I believe. We've got Isaac Jacobs that can do some damage. Oda Wilkerson and Ruger Zeman are kind of that 1-2 punch in the backfield of, a real shifty runner, and then Ruger's a downhill, smack you in the mouth type kid. Logan Herrick, as a slot, is unbelievably fast and talented. We feel really good about our tight end play. We've got a young guy, Noah Rose, that's really, he's a big body and can catch the ball. And Everett Martin is in the same boat as him. And at quarterback, Colton Stratton has really come on. I mean, from when I took over in February to now, that young man has done everything that we've asked. He's carried himself the right way, and his teammates are following him because of that. And then defensively, again, Ruger is solid in the middle for us. Blake Caesar's a linebacker for us, junior, that we feel really good about. Carter Milton's a senior in the back as a safety that's done a great job of developing over the last year. And then up front, I'm not going to forget about the big boys on the offensive line. Jaden Barker is a senior that's just he's really come into. He's one of those kids, like, you watch him and you're like, man, this kid is loving football right now.
Right.
That's awesome.
He's fun to watch. Devin Slocum, Kais Malone, all those Brock Rivette, Charlie Murphy. We feel good. We're young up front on both sides of the ball, but we feel really good about those guys.
Oh, that's awesome. Looks like the roster and the depth chart is starting to round out. Those butterflies you talk about, I've heard people say, and I mean, we all played, so we understand that feeling. If you don't have those butterflies, then something's wrong, right? Like that. Yeah. That's what I always think. Like, you want to have those butterflies, you want to have those juices going, especially before your first game. I wanted to ask about, so you obviously you've already touched on that. You're a Corunna guy through and through. You grew up through the program, born and raised in the system and everything, and now you're the head coach of the varsity football team. It's got to be a pretty cool journey to think about. But can you talk about the value, especially at a place like Corunna, a community like Corunna, to have a head coach who's been there, who knows the mid-90s teams, who you mentioned Chris Curtis, you know Steve Herrick, and I think that's why Coach Herrick had a ton of success also. He knows the Corunna community. Can you talk about maybe why, I don't know, you can go ahead and pat yourself on the back, why you think you're the right guy for the job, because you understand the Corunna community?
It's, Matt, I think it's hard to put into words. This is probably, I remember when we got back from Ford Field that night, and obviously that was not the way we wanted that game to end. But I remember coming back into the gym, and we had school the next day, and that gym was packed, and it was 10 o'clock at night, and just packed with people in our community, and the impact those kids had. And those things like that, I mean, that was obviously on a larger scale because it was down, the magnitude of that game. But right. You see those connections with our community so often. And I don't know, I mean, I like to think that I'm still relatively young, but maybe it's becoming a dad and you see those moments that kids have and the opportunities they have with the community that are really special. And I told somebody the other day that, like, this is not a destination, or this is a destination job for me. It's not I don't have aspirations of going anywhere else. This is where I want to be. This is where my kids are. And this, like I said, it sounds cheesy, but it truly is my dream job.
I got one last quick question. And because you mentioned Ford Field, I'm so jealous. How was that? I mean, just the walking in, checking out the field, going up to the coach's box in the press box, looking out at the Detroit Lions logo. I mean, was that kind of everything you dreamed of? And it probably makes you, maybe this year, maybe somewhere down the road, let's get back there, as a Corunna Cavalier football program. Is that how it felt, kind of?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like, okay, well, our program has arrived. Obviously, we'd had unbelievable success through the years, consistent success, but that was kind of that moment of, little Corunna can be on the map. Right. And then the next thing here over the last couple of years is, okay, what can we do to get back there, but have that consistent success that you are, playing to get back there every year, that you have that, the ability to get back there, because it was not easy. Yeah. But yeah, and as far as the facilities, it was unbelievable. I mean, the only thing I will say is we were up in the box, and I was up there with Coach Heine, Buck Heine, and it was nice because you could see the whole field. Everything was laid out there for you, but I couldn't see anything, and I know he couldn't see anything.
Right. No, it's true.
So we were sharing binoculars up there, and my only regret is I wish that we would have came down on the field at some point during the game, because you couldn't see pad level. You couldn't. It was
right.
Again, you could see the whole picture, but really you couldn't see the details in that picture.
Right.
Well, it was a heck of a run for sure, and it had to be a big time experience. Like you said, came up a little short, but man, a few breaks here and there might have been a little bit of a different outcome. But I'm going to end my final question for you. Any upcoming weddings you're going to officiate?
You did a great job.
That was fun. That was. I don't know if I'll be more nervous on Thursday night for the first game or how nervous I was that day, because you only get married a couple times in your life, so no, it was fun. Love Casey and Katie, and obviously the whole Fattal family, extended family. That was a cool experience.
Well, you did a great job with it, man.
Thank you.
It was fun.
I've got to ask you one quick thing. So Corunna's, and then we'll get you out of here. You got to keep prepping for your upcoming game. Corunna's uniforms and helmets. Amongst some group chats that I have with Corunna Cavaliers, guys who grew up through Corunna, born and raised, played with the Golden Dome, Nick and Eastfield. It's classic. I remember my senior year, we put the C with the swords, and that was a hot topic around town. You do not put anything on that helmet. Obviously, that's a long time ago. Things have changed. But what are your personal feelings on the uniform? Are you like Ted? Couldn't care less. Just go out there and play whenever Jerod and I talk about uniforms with the All-Star game or whatever it is. Ted's always just like, I couldn't care less about the uniforms. Do you want to have 6 different alternates? Do you want to have all that? Or should it be gold pants, black jersey, golden dome? That's the classic look, right?
I'm so if you saw how I dress most days, you'd go, this guy's, we don't want to take fashion advice from him. So I'm more of a classic look, but I also know that it's important to kids now more than it ever has been, that, they got to have their, unfortunately, as sad as it is, there's some kids I think wouldn't play football or some other sports if they didn't look good on the field or on the court or whatever. So we will be I will tell you one thing that we did do this year. We, the way we did our ordering for jerseys, our JVs and our varsities are going to be in the same jersey the whole year. So we have some that are duplicate numbers, but they're going to be in the same jersey. So if down the road we do have a conversation about playoffs or anything like that, we could bring the entire JV team up if we really wanted to do that. As far as helmets, we are going to have a C and swords on the side of our helmet. We are going to, it's not a nod to Alabama, but I will tell you, we are going to have numbers on the side of our helmet, and we are going to have a little nod to the 1955 team, and we're going to have a stripe down our helmet this year. So that'll be a little, and we're going all gold dome, black. Everything will be black. But one thing that's kind of interesting, there's several companies out there that do this now, but you can get a shell that covers your entire helmet. And to outfit your team, you're probably talking $3,000, but it's basically the shell just covers up your helmet, so you can change the color of your helmet. You wouldn't need to get a full new helmet. But it's one of those. Okay, you do it, 2 to 3 times a year. Is it really worth? $2,000, $3,000? Money could probably be spent better elsewhere. But you can. There's definitely. Me personally, I'm an Alabama guy. I love the fact they wear the same jersey. Awesome. I like that they don't have all jerseys. But
are you going to have a number 0 in this jersey batch you ordered? I love the number 0 in football. It just became a thing a few years ago. Or is there?
We have a 0.
That's
nice.
Awesome.
Is it Oda?
No, Christian Morris. He's a senior.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, you talk about the stripe on the helmet. That's what I had back when I played. So.
Still in the record books are you still in the record books for interceptions?
I believe I am. Yes, I believe so. I was tracking Wyatt pretty closely, as you know.
He told us when we talked to him before the season, I think it was before their senior year, that he was going to break it.
Yes, he did.
Broke about every other record possible they did. But
he came damn close, I'll tell you that much. Well, listen, we'll let you out of here on this final question. Short little synopsis on what to expect Thursday night at Fowlerville. What are you looking at with the Gladiators?
I mean, obviously you have to respect every opponent. They're a well-coached team. They've got some boys up front that can flat get after it. So I think you're going to see a battle up front between two teams. In the past, they've really pinned their ears back and got after the quarterback. So we expect that. We expect to play under pressure on the offensive side of the ball. And we will really look to get the ball into our playmakers' hands, and then also control the line of scrimmage as much as we can. And defensively, we want to get pin our ears back ourselves on defense. We've made some changes defensively this year that we hope that can shore up some weaknesses we had in the past, but we feel pretty good. So I just told the kids we met tonight. I had some chicken spaghetti in my classroom and watched some film with them, and I told them, I said, the biggest growth always has to happen from scrimmage to week one, and then from week 1 to week 2, and so on and so forth. So looking forward to a great week of practice for sure.
Well, we appreciate the time, Coach. You got our numbers, so if you need any play calls or anything, just reach out to us. All right.
Hey, and if any of you guys are, well, I guess it would just be Jerod. J-Rod, you decide to tie the knot here, just give me a call, okay?
Oh, yeah.
The online, AmericanOnlineMinistries.com. I'm your guy.
Honestly, I'd like to give on that. You did a great job. So, no, that's awesome. But, yeah, good luck this year, Coach. Thanks for hopping on. We're going to be watching.
Jason.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for everything.
Well, thanks to the Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center for being a part of this podcast. Their orthopedic walk-in clinic is available for those sports-related injuries that you're bound to get. Monday through Fridays, 8 to noon, no appointment needed. The clinic's designed for those unexpected moments when injuries strike. Details at memorialhealthcare.org. Also want to thank our other partners, ALS of Michigan, AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook & Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, brand new on board for the year. Nichols Painting, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, and the Shiawassee County Fair. We also want to thank all our experts from throughout the state and Corunna Cavalier head coach Jason Beldyga for joining us. Big game coming up Friday at Fowlerville, and the Castle game of the week kicking off the season, August 28th, this Thursday, Hamilton at St. John, 7 o'clock kickoff. Casey Smith and Bart Matthews will be there for that one. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'd love to hear your comments on this podcast and other podcasts. Just shoot us a note on social media, and we'd love to read it. As we always say, peace and love, everybody. Be kind, and we'll catch up with you at a stadium near you.